name's Charlie Sloth. I've been in the game for about 10 years now. I started originally as an artist, used to make records, kind of never had anyone around me, never had a team, so I kind of self-educated myself, taught myself how to produce records, how to direct videos, edit videos, special effects, etc. Found I weren't really getting anywhere in the game, so I started my I started an online show called Being Charlie Sloth, which is still the most viewed hip hop show in the world, just to get like 1 million+ views a week. Like for me, it's like I've always had the mind state that I can do anything and I can achieve anything, because like I've seen other people around me achieve some beautiful things, and I thought, well, if they can do stuff and they can get out of the hood, I can do the same thing. Like I was born and raised in a place called Somers Town in Camden, which was like notorious for like mad crime and killings all the time, drugs. The drug rate was like one of the highest in the country. So like for me, like it was either stay there and rot and let my family rot there, or it was just don't stop working until the door's open, just keep banging at the door. Like, and the amount of rejections that I had, the amount of times that I failed, it just made me stronger, man. Like I think like a lot of people are scared to fail, and that's a lot of people's biggest weakness, the fact that failure is something that they're scared to confront. But for me, my failures are what make me great, and that failing for me is almost as good as winning, because you learn a lot more from failing than you do from when you win. So all the failures and rejections that I got just made me stronger and made me wanna prove people wrong. A lot of people was like, you'll never do this, you'll never do that. Like coming from where you're from, it's not possible. And that just made me wanna just like keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And obviously having a kid just kind of just changed my whole mind state. Like it weren't no longer just about me, it was about providing for my son and making sure that he didn't have to live the life that I lived. So there was no options for me. It wasn't a thing of, well, if I fail, I can go and get a job in Sainsbury's. It wasn't that. Like I weren't settling for that. For me, coming up as an artist, I felt like there was no DJs out there supporting me and my community, the people around me doing what we was doing. So like, I always said to myself, if I ever had the power and the position that these guys had, I would make sure that I was supporting my homegrown talent, my community, people around me that are aspiring to do the same thing that I was trying to do as an artist. So as soon as I got the job at 1Extra, I took it upon myself. Like the person who's doing the show before me was playing large amounts of American rap, and for me, like I like to think that I'm very grounded and connected to the streets still. Like if I'm walking through the streets and the young bucks want to talk to me, I always take time to speak to them. And throughout the 2 years that I've been doing the show, I've not had one kid tell me they like American artists. So like I'll stop the kids and I'll be like, who you feeling? Who's hot in your ends right now? Who's top boy? And they'll always tell me who they're feeling, and not have I heard a kid mention an American artist to me. And that gave me just the extra bit of motivation that I needed, knowing that the next generation now has been educated and raised on UK homegrown music, and that's what they want to hear, because that's what they relate to. So for me, there was nobody championing it. There's so many DJs that have got a platform to do so, and I've had the platform for many years, but weren't really championing the underground artists. And for me, it was just like, to take this to the next level, we need someone to just be championing all the time. So I come up with the concept of Fire in the Booth, to give artists a platform to showcase their talents to the audience. And like, after the first 5, 6, I knew then it was just, yeah, it's a winner. I knew this was something that could give artists the opportunity to go on and further their careers. Like for me, like I've always had my head screwed on in terms of branding, like just like looking at others around me, people that have done it before. So like even the bigger names in the States, whether they're artists, DJs, just clothing lines, I've always noticed that the most successful people have always gone about their business in the right way in terms of making themselves a brand. So if one part of that brand dies, there's something else that still lives on, and another avenue created in that brand. So like my music, like I'm still passionate about music. One day I'll revisit that, but right now my brands took another journey, but it makes my brand bigger, it makes Charlie Sloth bigger. So like the shows that I was doing, I knew it just added another asset to what I'm about, something that other people haven't got to their brand. So like my brand now, I feel, is a strong brand. I'm signed to a film company in the States. I'm making big moves in the States in terms of video content and film stuff. Like that's my next step. And like branding, if it wasn't for me understanding my brand, I wouldn't have been able to take the steps that I've taken. Like knowing your brand and knowing your audience are the two most important things in getting on. Like if I never knew who my audience was, like just an example, if I was making rap music and trying to sell that rap music to jungle fans, they're gonna look at me like I'm mad. A lot of people are not professional about their business, man. Like if you don't take your business serious, you can't expect me to. Like if I'm seeing you conducting yourself in a certain way that I don't feel as professional, I can't take you serious. And it's sad because, you know, like I do go out of my way to speak to people all the time. Like I'll go and sit on panels and I'll talk to people for free. I don't charge for that. Like I just want to educate people and make the other people better and achieve what, you know, achieve their dreams, man. You know.
So part of it is attitude, not just the music they're creating, but the right kind of attitude.
A big part of it, you know, like there's some really talented artists out there. Like, a big thing for me, just an example, is like I put my email out there. It's there for anyone. It's on my Twitter. Anyone can reach me. And like certain times I'll get tracks, and the track will be untitled, and there'll be no information in the email. And I'm like, yo, like I can't take this serious. And I'll listen to the track, and if the person would have addressed the situation right, the track would be getting played. But I'm not gonna chase someone down. I'm not gonna put a tweet out there who sent me a track called Untitled with no information in the email. That doesn't make sense. Like I've got things to do. I'm a busy guy. Like you gotta make my job easy to make your job easy. Like if you're not serious, I'm not gonna take you serious. And that's just the bottom line. What makes a good radio track? I mean, you know, it's a bit of a hard question to answer, really, because I think it's all about just doing you. Like for me, things that excite me are things that I've not heard before. So obviously every day I'm hearing like 100+ new tracks, and for me, if you're trying to be like somebody else that's out there already, so if you're trying to be like Gigs, you're trying to be like DVS, you're trying to be like K Coke, they're there already. Why am I going to play your music when I can play their music? The guys who are the originators of what they're doing, that sound. So there's a book out there, yeah, called Purple Cow. And basically, the concept of the book is that if you drive past the field every day, and there's hundreds of cows in that field, the first time you're going to look. But then, every day you drive past there, you know the cows are there, and you know what the cows look like, they're all the same, so you don't really pay attention no more. But then one day, if you drive past that field and there's a purple cow in that field, you're gonna stop. You're gonna be like, wow, you probably slap your brakes on. You're like, wait a minute. And you're gonna really pay close attention to that purple cow. And I think that's the best way to get across to people and explain. Just be yourself. Like everybody's unique. Everybody's their own unique individual person. So if you just be yourself instead of trying to follow suit, you're gonna be unique, and your music should be unique too. And I think that's the most important thing. Just do you. For online content, a lot of the artists seem to think that, like, when they make a video and they put it online, it's kind of like you owe it to them to watch it, and you owe it to them to pay attention and retweet the video. It's not that. Like, you've really got to put the work in. Like, I'm like, if somebody hits me up on Twitter and I don't know them, and they're saying, yo, check my video out, Charlie, watch this video, I'm not really gonna watch it. In all honesty, I'm not. Like, I ain't got time. But if your fans, if 30, 40 of your fans, as little as a number as that, hit me up and I'm like, yo, check out my man's video, I'm gonna watch it. If one person whose opinion I value in the industry nudges me and says, yo, this person's hot, pay attention to this person, I'm gonna pay attention to it. Like, when you contact me yourself, there's a certain amount of credibility that you lose. It's like, you shouldn't have to be contacting me. Like, you're an artist. This is your art. Like, you don't have to force it upon me. Let me find it, or put the work in to get your fan base and your audience to make me come and find it. Like, don't cheapen yourself by approaching me. I think every individual who wants to be part of the music industry has to take it upon themselves to understand the mechanics of the industry. That was the first thing that I'd done. The first thing that I'd done was try to understand how the mechanics of this industry work. Like, it's like trying to go and play football without knowing the rules. How are you going to go and play football if you don't know the rules? How are you going to be like running offside and fouling and like taking a corner from a throw-in? Like, you got to understand the rules to be good at the game. Like otherwise, it's over before it's even started. No one's paying attention. You know the rules. You may not be the greatest, but you'll be playing a lot better than certain man that don't know the rules. Certain man might be faster than you. Certain man might have more skill than you. But if you know the rules and you know the rules better than them, you know the mechanics of the game, you're ahead of them already. You're winning. I think like for me, like if someone critiques your work without you asking them to do it, I don't really like that. In all honesty, like I'm never gonna go out of my way and be like, yo, that's garbage. Like I'm not feeling that, because like who am I to say that? Like it's just my opinion, and like especially I think once you get in a position of power where people listen to what you say and you have an influence on people's opinions, like it wouldn't be fair for me to say that. And I don't like when I see journalists or DJs do that. But if somebody asks for an opinion, so if somebody contacts me and says, can I have your opinion on this, then I think you need to be prepared for some constructive criticism. So if I do hit you back and I'm like, yo, I'm not feeling it, it's not for me, don't take it personal. Like, don't ask for my opinion. If you don't want my opinion, don't ask for it. And if you do want my opinion, be prepared for the truth. Like, I'm only ever going to be honest with you, because yes men is one of the biggest downfalls in this game in terms of people, you know, just like bettering themselves and taking it to the next step. You're surrounded by people that constantly say yes, you ain't progressive. And that is bottom line. You need honest people around you that are like, you know what, I'm not sure about that. Like I've always had a rule in my life, and I still live by that rule now. Like anytime I put anything out there in the public domain, I have a certain amount of people around me that I call connectors that I'll feed what I'm about to put out there first. So, and they'll be from different walks of life. So I'm trying. It's almost like, you know, it's like a survey. Like you can kind of get from those 4 or 5 people how many of the connectors you want to get, like what the reaction is going to be from people. And they're people whose opinions I trust, who are not going to say, yeah, that's good. Like they're going to be like, if it's shit, they're going to be like, it's rubbish. I'm sorry, Charlie, it's not good. Maybe you should do this, maybe you should try and do that. But yes men are definitely a bad thing, man. See, I think collaborations are important. I think collaborations, as long as it's the right collaboration, enable artists to tap into each other's fan bases. And I think that's really important in terms of growth for the scene, growth for the artist. So I think collaborations are important as long as they are the right collaborations. I think sometimes some people can get a bit carried away with kind of wanting to work with this person, that person, when you're already kind of sharing similar fan bases and you're not really gaining anything from it. Like it's always nice creatively, but for me, it's a business and you've got to treat it like that. You got to be looking at the big picture. I think the big thing that people have to do in terms of making that step from underground to overground commercial, to be accepted by the mass majority of people, I think a big part of it is professionalism, how you conduct yourself. That you got to remember, a lot of the guys that control this industry are middle class people in suits, white guys who, you know, might be a little bit intimidated by how certain people from the street conduct themselves. So you've got to try and be a chameleon and be able to fit into situations. So if you're in a room full of people in suits, you've got to act like the people in the suits. Regardless of how big you think you are or who you think you are, you have to learn to fit into different situations. I think professionalism goes a long way. So like, and in professionalism, everything falls into that in terms of work ethic, you know, like just wanting to better yourself every day, like never getting complacent. So not getting 1-2 tracks that I got heat and thinking I've made it, I'm done. Like always thinking I can better myself. There's much more I can do to make myself a better person and to elevate myself in terms of my career. Like I was very naive, and I think a lot of people when they first get into the industry are very naive. Like a lot of people think it's kind of like, I'm gonna make a few tracks, I'm gonna blow up, I'm gonna be rich, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that. I think like the industry is a business. It's like any business, and if anything, it's a lot harder and there's a lot more that goes into this business than most businesses out there, which is very cutthroat. Like you can be hot today and gone tomorrow. So like you really need to stay on top of your game in this business. And for me, like I said, when I first got into the game, I was a little bit naive. I thought everyone was going to be nice and smiley, and it's not that. It's not that. Everyone's here in reality to get paid, because it's a business. Not like the big man in the game ain't doing it because they like you and they like your music. Like let's be realistic. They're doing it because it's a business, because they see a pound sign on top of your head, and that's all it is. And you have to recognise that, and not be offended by that, or not be like, oh, man's trying to make a pound out of me. It's not that. Like, it's a business. Like, anyone who gets involved in this wants to get paid, and they want to make a living from it. So like at first, obviously I was kind of like, oh, I don't want a manager who's taking 20%, or I don't want an agent who's taking 15%. I want to do it all myself. I want to earn all the money myself. But then you realise, boy, you know what? Like, if you really want to grow, you need that team. You need to be willing to share the pie in order for that pie to grow. Of like 20% of nothing is dead. This is Charlie Sloth, and my top advice for you to make it in the music industry would be work ethic. Make sure you put the work in. Like, everyone's on this right now. Everybody's trying to be an artist. Everyone's trying to make that quick pound note. If you slow down, any moment someone can overtake you. Be consistent. Like, a lot of people are like, work ethic and consistency are the same thing. They're not. Like, work ethic makes you build that body of work, and then you got to be consistent with that body of work. You can't let the levels drop in any way whatsoever. Don't give up, man. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it.